watching Estuary News. In the headlines tonight, a body is discovered in Grimsby, a Hull safety campaigner dies, trekking the coast for charity and raising awareness of ovarian cancer. And later in tonight's programme, I'll be tripping the light fantastic with Zaza Warren. Before that, I'm joined by Andy Green, who'll be telling me about Wee Day. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Monday's programme with me, Luke Adams. First tonight, a 23-year-old man has appeared at Hull Magistrates Court today in relation to the series of aggravated vehicle thefts that hit Hull and the East Riding at the end of last week. Leon Denew, of no fixed address, was charged on a number of counts, including robbery, possession of an imitation firearm and possession of an offensive weapon in a public place. The charges follow incidents in Heddon and on Hessel Road in Hull on Friday morning. Inquiries are ongoing to identify a second suspect involved in the incidents. We will, of course, keep you updated on the story as it develops. A man has been found dead in Grimsby. He was discovered at 6:29 yesterday morning in an alleyway off David Street. The man's death is not believed to be suspicious and has yet to be identified. A cordon has been put in place whilst police establish the circumstances of his death. Anyone with information is asked to call Humberside Police on 101. Trawler safety campaigner Mary Dennis has died at the age of 79. She was one of Hull's 4 headscarf revolutionaries who called for better safety conditions for trawlers at sea. She rose to prominence following the triple trawler disaster of 1968, in which 3 trawlers from the Hessel Road fishing community sank in a matter of weeks in North Atlantic seas. The women, led by outspoken fishwife Lil Bolocka, took their campaign to Westminster and forced rapid changes to the trawling industry. Dennis died in a nursing home near Hull on Saturday. She is outlived by the last remaining campaigner of the group, Yvonne Blenkinsop. March marks the beginning of Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. Over 7,000 women are diagnosed with the disease every year in the UK, with around 20 women diagnosed in North Lincolnshire. Margaret Lake explained some of the symptoms that women should look out for.
Ovarian cancer tends to affect women of the age of 50 plus, although occasionally it's earlier than that. And it tends to be that they start to feel bloated, and sometimes the stomach gets extended. Also, there's often a loss of appetite and they feel full before they've had very much to eat. Can also affect the way that they urinate and that have to go to the toilet more frequently than they would do normally. Abdominal pain's another thing that sometimes can be that. Unfortunately, it takes quite a while before these symptoms occur. But if they start to have symptoms like that are happening more than sort of 4 or 5 times a month, then they should get it checked out. The Eve Appeal raises money for ovarian research, ovarian cancer research, and we're holding on the 16th of March down at Val Waterhouse Centre, Resource Centre in Kent Street. We're raising money for the Eve Appeal. It's from 11 o'clock till 1 o'clock. And we'd like to see as many people down there as we could so that we can raise some money to help with the research. Well, I think, the Eve Appeal do some sterling work in supporting people and also looking at research and how to move forward. And it is a difficult cancer because to start off with, there are no symptoms, and by the time you get the symptoms, the ovarian cancer can be quite large. So the more we can do to get better treatment, the better.
Refurbishment work has started on Grimsby's Grant Thorold Library. It comes after the centre was awarded a grant of more than £270,000 from the Big Lottery Fund. The money will be used to renovate the library, create a new cafe and multi-purpose education centre at the hub. The work is expected to be completed by this May. On tonight's Hot Topic, Hugh will be speaking to economist Russell Woodward. Here's a preview of what's in store.
I expect continued efforts to balance the budget, but not as urgently as they may have been under Osborne and the previous government. I think there's some talk and recognition that too much austerity does dampen demand in the economy, and if there's dampening demand in the economy, then tax revenue can drop, and benefits outlay can need to go up. So I think the policy of allowing demand to continue in the economy, not too much austerity, will be reflected in the budget.
And you can see that episode in full on Estuary TV tonight at 8 o'clock. A heart transplant patient is in our area today as part of a marathon trek around the British coastline. Kieran Sandwell set off from Barton this morning aiming for Heddon as we speak. It's all part of his 5,000-mile trek to raise £100,000 for the British Heart Foundation. Kieran tells us why it's a cause close to his heart.
I was born with a heart defect, congenital heart disease, and I had a heart attack when I was 13. And I've had heart problems basically all the way through till the age of 38 when I needed a heart transplant. And since then I've had great health, so I've been able to do all sorts of mad things, and this is last in the line of lots of mad things that I've been doing. This is the maddest, I think. So from London I went down to the Thames and then turned left. Then I went to Southend and then turned left, and then up through Essex with lots of estuaries and through Suffolk, and then really gorgeous Norfolk coast path, and then round the Wash, and then up through Lincolnshire, and now I've reached the Humber Bridge, which is great. Each day just rolls into one. It's hard to sort of put one above the other, but certainly seeing this bridge was a major landmark. For me personally, Hunstanton was a really good landmark, seeing them lovely cliffs, because I'd holidayed in Hunstanton plenty of times. So I think they'll be my two markers. I've got kind of markers all the way around the coast, and definitely getting to the Humber Bridge was one of them.
And for more information on Kieran's campaign and to donate to his cause or offer him a room for the night, log on to atrailofTwohearts.com. Now, a new musical is heading to Grimsby later this month, telling the story of a showbiz icon, Cilla, and the shades of the 60s charts the meteoric rise of Cilla Black and features some of her biggest hits, including Alfie and Step Inside Love. It will be fronted by Liverpudlian singer and actress Victoria Jones, who plays Cilla, and she says there's something for everyone in the show.
If you love 60s music, come on down. You can have a sing-along, a dance-along, a little bit of a hand jive. And it's just a real nice tribute to the star that she was. And it covers all her work from the early 60s right up to the present day, and especially the 80s as well.
And the show will be at the Grimsby Auditorium on Friday the 24th of March at 7:30 p.m. We Day is aimed at young people making a difference in their local and global communities. I'm joined now by Andy Green to tell me more about the event happening in April. Andy, thank you very much for coming in. Lovely to see you as always. The event is happening on the 6th of April at the Grimsby Institute, isn't it?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the event.
So the event is based on a bigger national event called We Day UK, and that basically aims to celebrate the difference that young people make within local and global communities. So what I'm doing with the help of some volunteers is bringing that down to Grimsby to make it more accessible to schools in this region.
And like you say, making it at an accessible local level.
Yeah.
Andy, why is it important for people to get involved in this event and the campaign in general?
Well, I mean, social action isn't just about helping other people. It actually teaches you and provides you with so many skills that you can use throughout life. For instance, in my working day, 90% of the skills I use are self-taught or learned through the volunteering that I've done in the past.
Fantastic. So what particular skills can people develop and learn and nurture, perhaps?
So it's things like communication, understanding, organisation, those skills, and it kind of pushes people to do things that they wouldn't ordinarily do and get experiences that maybe they wouldn't have thought about before.
Because like you say, communication and organisation, critical key skills in any workplace. Andy, I believe you're looking for local schools to sign up to the course. How can people take part?
Yeah, so the events completely free for schools. All they have to do is go to the website, which is socialactionclub.com. On there they'll find the event page where they can just enter their details and tell us how many students they'd like to bring along.
Okay, and how many people have got involved so far leading up to the event in April?
So there's 6 schools already, that's about 130 students. We're aiming for about 300.
Okay, fantastic. And is this primary schools or secondary schools, or is it across the board, Andy?
Well, really it's suitable for any age range, but we're recommending year 5 through to year 8.
Fantastic. And that's the 5th of April.
The
here at 6th of April here at the Grimsby Institute.
Yeah.
Andy, I wish you all the best with the project. Thank you very much, Sheed, for coming in.
Thank you.
Join me after the break when Dan brings us a roundup of all the latest sporting action, and I'll be tripping the light fantastic with Zaza Warren. Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News this Monday evening, and still to come tonight, Dan brings us a roundup of all the latest sporting action, and I'll be talking to Richard Bradley about an anniversary concert. A local charity is calling on people to cha-cha or perhaps foxtrot the night away. Last year, St Andrew's Hospice in Grimsby raised a staggering £15,000 for its Strictly Get Dancing competition. I'm joined now by Zaza Warren to tell me more about this year's event. Zaza, thank you very much for coming in. Did you foxtrot your way to the studio this afternoon?
I just walked like a normal person.
Fantastic. Yes. But you're encouraging people to cha-cha or foxtrot.
Indeed, yes.
So tell me, how can they take part?
So we're looking for 12 couples this year, which is, I think, a couple more than we did last year. We aimed for 10 last year.
Okay.
And it's all in aid of the hospice to raise money for St Andrews. It's a £20 registration fee per dancer, and then we ask them to raise a minimum of £150 each. But as you can tell by last year, they went above and beyond.
So it is an achievable target.
It is,
isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. How receptive have people been so far, Zaza?
Well, we launched it just over a week ago, which went into the papers, and I've already got, I would say, probably 6 couples already. So they're kind of flowing in pretty quick. So yes, if you want to get involved, please get in touch very, very soon.
Because I think programmes like Strictly have given people that rejuvenation into dancing, perhaps.
Not only that, we are the home of Strictly, because we have Joanne who won, and it is her mum and dad, Judy and Keith, who are actually our dance teachers.
Oh, fantastic.
So they give private lessons
so
for all our dancers.
Training and
training,
learning proper professional dance skills.
Yeah.
How long is it until the closing date for people to,
As soon as we've got our 12, then that's it, we're done.
Okay.
But I think we have said by the end of March we really need to have people signed up, because then they start the training, of course. So it's about 5 weeks that they have the training. So we do need people to be signed up so that we can start.
And then it culminates in the big night, which is when?
It's the 13th of May, and it's at the Beachcomber. So that's our big finale night, which is, I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to that.
Because obviously now, Zaza, you've got something to build on from last year's to compare.
We do indeed, yes.
How popular and successful was the inaugural event last year?
It was amazing. I mean, we sold out of tickets. It sold out really, really well. People were asking, come on, you must have a few kind of hidden away, but we didn't. It really did. So we've gone for tiered seating this year, which is a big positive. It just makes it a better experience. We're going to have a VIP section for people. Fantastic. So yeah, we've kind of gone bigger and better. Okay.
And will people be learning the tango, the waltz? What kind of dances?
There will be 2 dancers that they will be learning, but I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to keep that a surprise.
Oh, that's good. We'll make surprises.
Oh yes. All the dancers will learn the same dance though. So they have 2 dancers each, And then so it's easier kind of for the judges and also for people who come to watch on the night. They get to vote as well. So they're actually comparing each dance couple against the others.
So as well as taking part,
Yeah.
it is a competition to
It is, yeah.
have the ultimate winner announced.
To have
at
the ultimate
event.
win, yeah, on the night.
So there is a streak of competitiveness
Oh,
here,
just,
isn't there,
just
Zaza?
a little, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. But raising money at the same time.
Absolutely.
So.
Vital funds for the hospice.
Definitely.
I wish you all the best with the
Thank you so
event. Thank you
much,
for
yeah.
coming in and keep us posted on the dances.
I will. Thank you.
See you soon, Zaza.
Thank you.
Now here's Dan with all the latest news from the world of sport.
Hull City have been cut 4 points adrift in their fight against relegation from the Premier League. They lost 3-1 at Leicester City on Saturday despite taking an early lead. Former Foxes midfielder Sam Clucas put City 1 up, but goals by Christian Fuchs, Riyad Mahrez and a Tom Huddleston own goal. Then the game ended in just Marco Silva's third league loss at the Tigers. Wins for Crystal Palace and Swansea City confounded City's misery. Meanwhile, defender Andrea Ranocchia has been speaking up teammate Harry Maguire's international prospects. He's been touted for an England call-up in the media in recent days, with reports the England boss Gareth Southgate is looking to blood fresh faces. And his Italian centre-half partner thinks he's got the potential to earn international honours.
Sì, Harry è veramente bravo, è giovane, è enorme, is big man, ma è bravo, si allena bene, ha già una mentalità importante pur essendo molto giovane, quindi sarà un giocatore in prospettiva per questa squadra e per la sua nazionale.
He's a young guy, but he's a big guy. But he's someone who trains really hard, and he's already got the right kind of attitude for someone so young. So I expect him to make progress, not just at Hull, but for his country as well.
Scunthorpe United have lost their automatic promotion spot after losing to third place Fleetwood Town on Saturday. The Ain had been in second before losing 2-0 at Glanford Park. Devante Cole and Bobby Grant scored the goals. United are now 3 points adrift of the top two. Grimsby Town made it 3 of our local sides to suffer defeat as they lost 2-1 to Wycombe Wanderers. The visitors' winner was scored in controversial fashion by Paris Cowan Hall, who put the ball into the net, with Mariners defender Gavin Gunning laid out unconscious at the time. The referee allowed the game to continue, which is not the usual protocol for a head injury. These were the thoughts of the town manager Marcus Bignett after the game, speaking about the game's big moment.
He apologised straight away, which is big of him. But obviously, listen, it doesn't help the situation. But no, you know, I can't fault the players for stopping, or because obviously he was out cold, and there's a massive concern, not just for a teammate but for a human being. And when it's head injuries, you know, ultimately it's got to be stopped straight away. And then to see him stretchered off, no one wants to see that. So let's just hope he learns and we don't see that kind of situation again.
North Ferriby United have moved to within 4 points of National League safety after a huge win at the weekend. Goals from Jake Skelton and Reece Thompson helped the villagers to a 2-1 win over fellow strugglers Woking. Rugby Now and Hull Kingston Rovers maintain their 100% record in the Championship with a 50 points to 10 win over the Sheffield Eagles. James Donaldson scored 2 of their 8 tries, while Jamie Ellis kicked 9 goals. They're now the second tier's only unbeaten side after Featherstone lost 10-9 to Rochdale. And that's all for the sport.
Thanks very much, Dan. Now, the Orpheus Male Voice Choir will be holding an anniversary celebration concert this weekend to mark Richard Bradley's 50-year membership with the group. And the man in question joins me now. Richard, thank you very much for coming in. First of all, congratulations on 50 years.
Thank you.
How come you've stuck around for so long?
Because the musical challenge has been there and the friendship of the members has been absolutely unbelievable.
What kind of highlights have you been part of it in those 50 years?
A lot of competition successes. We've toured many concerts in Europe and we've made several recordings which have been well received as well.
Okay, across those 50 years. Now, obviously it's a male voice choir. What's the particular age range of the members of the group?
Usually round about 50 plus.
Okay. And the concert which is taking place on Saturday, is that correct?
Saturday this week,
Grimsby
yes.
Central Hall.
Yes.
In the evening. How is it going so far with the rehearsals and the members of the choir?
The rehearsals have gone well. I've been talking to my co-performer this morning, who's flown in from Malaysia at the weekend.
Okay.
He's Richard Markham, the concert pianist.
Okay.
And we're all ready to go.
Excellent.
We just need the hall full.
The hall full. Ticket sales going well so far?
Not brilliantly, but not bad.
Okay. If people want to come to the event on Saturday, Richard, how can they get involved and come along?
The best thing is to go to the Central Hall booking office.
Okay.
You can either telephone in and buy them over the phone, you can do them online or in person. And there's a special offer on at the moment to encourage families, because it's a programme that we hope will cover all sort of age ranges. Okay. Any young people of school age who go with an accompanied adult, they get in free.
Fantastic. So it appeals to people right across the board.
Yeah.
Can you share some of the highlights of the concert on Saturday night, Richard?
I can do. The choir are singing from Verdi opera through to pop music, arrangements of pop music with usual traditional male voice things in between, but a good wide selection, couple of novelty fun numbers as well.
Okay.
And Richard Markham will be playing Chopin, Brahms, a very enjoyable programme, I can assure people.
Eclectic mix.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Richard, I hope the event is a success on Saturday evening. Thank you very much for coming in, and here's to the next 50 years.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Richard. That's it for tonight, I'm afraid. If you have a news story, then please visit our Facebook or Twitter pages or email news@estuary.tv. You can also phone our news desk, which is a Grimsby number 01472 31553, or put pen to paper and write to us at Estuary TV, Nuns Corner, Laceby Road, Grimsby, North East Lincolnshire, DN 345BQ. Hugh will be back with you tomorrow. I'll see you soon. From all of us on the team, have a great Monday evening.
Are you looking for a new or used car? Whatever the weather, Trenton have you covered. Estuary TV Weather, sponsored by Trenton Motors. Hello and welcome to Estuary TV's weather. Tuesday fine with sunshine during the morning, with the sunshine gradually becoming hazier under high cloud through the afternoon, giving way to a windier evening with some rain, maximum temperatures of 9 degrees. Wednesday bright but cool and blustery with showers. Are you looking for a new or used car? Whatever the weather, Trenton have you covered. Estuary TV Weather, sponsored by Trenton Motors.
Good evening, you're watching SG News. I'm Hugh Richards. In the headlines tonight, a coastal rescue off Bridlington, remembering Hull's fishing past, and art in Grimsby Minster. And later in tonight's programme, Helen Pickett and Charity Robinson will be telling me about a battle of the bands in Cleethorpes. And before that, I'll be talking to Paul Hildreth about a new sports craze in Scunthorpe. A woman has been rescued from the sea off Bridlington. Police were called to the scene at 6:25 on Saturday evening following reports of a 40-year-old woman threatening to jump into the sea close to the promenade. 2 PCSOs came to the woman's aid and attempted to get her out of the water. She resisted their efforts. They were all at risk of being swept out to sea due to the force of the currents. The woman was eventually pulled from the water when a member of the public helped the officers. She was unhurt and taken to hospital for treatment, and she's received support from mental health professionals. The results of a survey of East Yorkshire hospital staff have been published today. The staff survey for Hull and East Yorkshire Hospitals NHS Trust 2016 reveals that the Trust has improved care quality and staff experience. The study identified staff confidence in reporting unsafe clinical practice and improvements in preventing bullying. Over 3,000 employees completed the survey, representing 44% of the entire workforce. A new show will illustrate Hull's triple trawler tragedy as never before. Senses of the Sea will bring music, dance, drama and tragedy to the story of Hull's fishing industry. It's the first in a trilogy of shows as part of Culture of 5, Hull's Alive, staged throughout Hull 2017. Caroline Vickers says there's a sense of pride among the youngsters involved in the project.
The students have been on a real learning curve, learning about the history of Hull, the heritage of Hessel Road, and we've been in touch with lots of different people from Hull and learned lots of interesting things, and we're creating a fantastic show based on that. So there's going to be acting, singing, using songs with the group Spare Hands, local folk band, and we're going to be kind of telling the story as true as we can, with elements of theatre and performance within that. There's poetry, local poets, we're using local poets. The students have written poetry themselves as well in the sessions. So really celebrating the city of culture but also learning about our heritage of Hull, so it's fantastic.
The performance, what we're doing is Senses of the Sea, and what it is the story of the triple trawler tragedy. I'm playing as the narrator and the luckiest sailor. What we do here at Senses, we do all sorts of stuff, but performing this big performance of the sea of culture is going to mean a lot to me and to everyone.
Mill Lane Bridge in Hull is to be turned into a giant musical instrument to be played by artists and members of the public. Lawrence Rugg is a local musician. He's bringing the sound of the Far East to one of Hull's most impressive structures.
Oh, it lends itself really well to being played. It's brilliant because it's absolutely unique. It's also quite handy that the area that we're using, which is going to be a cafe one day, is not being used, because if it was, it wouldn't be available for us to do the stuff. On the top of the bridge on the 26th of March is when we've got some gamelan instruments, and they're percussion instruments, metal percussion instruments mainly from Java. So we're going to be making some music with that. We're going to be playing the piece inside the bridge, which is the sounds of the bridge itself.
And if you're intrigued by that, you can head on down to Scale Lane on the 26th of March at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. A new exhibition runs at Grimsby Minster from tomorrow. Ordinalia by Tracy Holland uses railway and maritime lamps to paint an ethereal picture of Grimsby's nautical past. It's part of the successful Art in the Minster series, which is coming to an end with this Swan Song exhibition.
Over the past year, art has been coming alive inside Grimsby Minster. Their latest exhibition promises to be their most intriguing yet, whilst also shining a light on Grimsby's maritime heritage.
The fourth Art in the Minster project, put together by Our Big Picture Limited and Grimsby Minster, features 12 maritime and railway lamps suspended within Grimsby Minster's high altar. The exhibition, titled Ordinalia, encourages visitors to experience Grimsby's maritime heritage on a spiritual level.
The piece behind the Ordinalia, that came from reading fragments of a fantastic kind of miracle play, a medieval miracle play called Ordinalia, and it was about the origins of the Holy Cross. I'm not Christian, but I'm very interested in different kind of religious beliefs, myths, folktale, those kind of things that are always there to kind of guide us through life for one reason or another. And this seemed to be typical of a really interesting cyclical story about regeneration. A couple of the old maritime lamps that the films play in are from Grimsby. I've sourced them from from all over the country. I bought them, you know, through eBay and various means, but actually 2 of them have come back home to roost because this is where they're from. So I suppose it's interesting because a lot of the kind of imagery within the films it's to do with really significant places, ceremonial places, or there's lake, the sea, there's the reed bed. So it does have quite a strong kind of link to the coast.
But bringing it here, we knew it's going to be special because of the content of the piece, with Ordinilla being a mystery play. And so that's been wonderful. And also the link with Grimsby as well, with the maritime lanterns. Because they, you know, are a maritime background, so they fit beautifully in the high altar underneath one of our stained glass windows, which is dedicated to the fishermen of the area.
The journey for Paula, bringing art in a minster to life itself, has been one of great reward.
It's been a real beautiful journey for us, connecting with our public of Grimsby, and it's the gratitude as well of being able to bring this really high quality work and make it really accessible to anybody has been overspilling within the comments book that we've got and the comments that we get. And like we say, it's been very much about testing and trialling what we can actually do in a working church, and we really thank the Minster to being behind us.
I hope people actually watch the work and get something from it. I think when you work, you have a kind of agenda, but once it's out there, work is very open to personal interpretation, and I think people will read into certain things what they want to see, but there'll be information about why I did the actual work, but I like to keep it fairly open so that people bring their histories and their memories to the work.
Thanks to the work of Tracy and Paula, art can now say it has a firm grip on Grimsby. From McNamara, Estuary News.
Now, Paul Hildreth is with me in the studio to tell me about a new sports club near Scunthorpe. Paul, welcome.
Hello.
What is this sport?
The sport is VX. Do you know about it?
I don't, but could you pass me your bat or racket or club or whatever it's called?
That's a V-Sticks.
This is a V-Sticks. Double-ended thing, which is usually, I imagine, balls are propelled from the ends.
Absolutely. It's double-ended because when you're travelling, you're supposed to dribble, rock the ball from side to side.
Okay, I see.
Beginners don't do that. It's played as singles, doubles, or a team. In a team, you've got 2 teams of 5 balls in play, and it's the simplest sport there is. No goals, no zones, no markings, no targets, just hit each other with the balls.
So it's a sort of a mixture of, various... Well, this looks a bit like a lacrosse racket, but it's
not the L word.
I'm sorry, okay.
The recipe is a little lacrosse, a pinch of pelota, a dash of dodgeball, and a hint of hockey. And it's mixed, totally mixed, very safe. The equipment is very light, it's flexible. The balls look like tennis balls, but they're low pressure, so they're softer. Unless you're in Middlesbrough, in which case you use cricket balls. Or Hull, in which case you use cricket balls dipped in petrol and light.
Let's not stereotype the poor people of these cities. But presumably it doesn't hurt. They're soft enough, these balls, that when they hit you, you know
Depends
about
where you get hit.
Okay, all right. So a certain amount of protection is required.
No, we don't wear protection. Eye goggles, perhaps, they're always available. But there are no, like I say, no goals, zones, targets or markings. You hit each other with a ball. 1 point for hit, 3 points for a catch. Singles is in a squash court, 2 players, 3 balls, very intense, personal and gladiatorial.
So you're keeping literally juggling lots of different balls at the same time?
Yes, very, very fast.
You said it's mixed and men and women can play together.
Total gender neutrality.
But other people can play as well. It's not necessarily, you don't have to be an athlete, as it were.
No, absolutely. This is really helping increase participation because anybody can play. We've got elite players that you wouldn't believe what those guys can do in the England squad, and yet at the other level we can get primary school reception children playing literally in 10 minutes at a fast pace.
Let's just get the local details. You've got a new club opening in North Lincolnshire somewhere.
Yep, Scunthorpe has a new VX club, and it's called Scunthorpe VX Club. At the moment it's training in Brigg at the Anchorn Leisure Centre. The head coach is a guy called James Foster, who was very, very respected in the VX community. Unfortunately, at the moment, he's doing his year abroad in Germany, where he's helping to set up VX over there. So we've got a rota of top-level guest coaches coming in to to run the club for him.
If people want to get involved, how can they find out more? Is there a website or something like that?
Website scunthorpevxclub.org.
Now, you're the inventor of this sport.
Yes, for my sins.
What inspired you?
It was a total misunderstanding, serendipity. I had a company doing technology transfer, and one of my clients rang me up. He said, describe something, what do you think to this? And I got totally the wrong end of the stick. Imagine people doing like paintball with tennis balls, and what he had was nothing like that. But we'd got the idea, and it went from there.
Brilliant, absolutely fantastic. And I should mention before we stop, it's gone international as well. It's played all over the world.
Yep.
Paul, thank you very much for coming in, and good luck with the new club.
Thank you very much.
Join me after the break. Dan will bring us a roundup of all the latest sports news, not including this, I'm afraid, and I'll be talking to Helen Pickett and Charity Robinson about the Battle of the Bands. Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, Dan will bring us a roundup of all the latest sporting action, and I'll be talking to Helen Pickett and Charity Robinson about the Battle of the Bands. Now, just to add to that story we did in the first half of Senses of the Sea, if you're interested, that'll be going on the 24th of March at 1 o'clock at Zebedee's Yard in Hull. New cashless payment systems have been introduced across the East Riding. East Riding Council has signed up to the My Permit or MI Permit system, allowing people to use their smartphones or computers to pay for parking in the council's car parks. Car park users can now pay by text, app or website. They will no longer need to display a ticket on their dashboard when using these methods. People can still pay by cash or card at any of the ticket machines. A spokesman for the council said the new system will make it easier for people to pay the way they want. A study has been launched to help improve access to urgent medical care. North East Lincolnshire Clinical Commissioning Group, the CCG, is seeking patients' views on how future provision can be shaped across the borough. Urgent care is for illnesses or injuries that need immediate medical attention but are not serious enough to require A&E treatment or an ambulance. The survey is available online via the CCG website. Loggerhead sea turtles now have a new home at the Deep in Hull. The two turtles will be in the Endless Ocean exhibit. They come from Aquatopia in Antwerp, where they've lived for the last 5 years. They were rescued from the wild after being caught on fishermen's long lines in the Mediterranean with injuries to their jaws. The Deep's curator, Katie Duke, says Sensor and Marbouche are settling in well and have fantastic personalities. Well, good, because you wouldn't want antisocial turtles. I'm joined now by Helen Pickett and Charity Robinson to tell me about a Battle of the Bands. Welcome to you both very much. Thank you very much for coming in. Firstly, let's get what's going on. The Battle for the Bands is going to take place where and when, Charity?
The 31st of March from 7 p.m. onwards at Moon on the Water in Cleethorpes.
And how can people get tickets?
So tickets are going on sale very shortly. We should have them sort of no later than the end of this week, hopefully by Thursday. If you would like tickets are £4 each, and you can purchase them from the Grimsby Institute, Voluntary Action North East Lincolnshire, as well as Moon on the Water.
Excellent. Those are the necessary details. Now, what are we buying tickets for? What's going to be happening, Charity?
Well, it's just a night really to broadcast young musicians in and around the area to get them to showcase their talents whilst raising money for good causes.
Okay, and what are the good causes?
Young musicians as part of Give a Gig Week, which is helping...
It's young people and children in challenging circumstances.
Yeah.
So Give a Gig Week and Youth Music help to they raise money to ensure that these children who are interested in music and young people that are interested in music can have access to it and sort of express themselves through that music.
And are you a music fan then, Charity? Because this is your idea, I know. You were the genius behind this.
I do like a bit of music, yeah.
Okay. Who's playing, Helen? What can we expect?
Well, we've got 11 acts lined up, haven't we? So
yeah.
We've had a really fantastic response from young people wanting to participate. I've got a list here in front of me so I don't forget anybody. We've got...
Go on then, give us the list.
We've got Kubrick, Amy Hallett, Resonance, Chloe Williams, Reversing Destiny, Jen Atkin, Ruby and the Knights, Megan Koss, Sage and the Other One, Megan and Chloe and The Forgotten.
Lovely, thank you very much. That's a fairly impressive playbill there, I guess, though, isn't it? A lot of us who like local music and around this area may have heard of some of those bands before, because they're quite well known.
Yeah.
Do you? I think that you can quite easily find live music from local bands around North East Lincolnshire. Do you think that they need? I mean, they always need more exposure, but is this going to be helpful to them, Charity?
I believe so, yeah, especially the more, not amateur, but ones that haven't had as much time to perform, so it gives them more time to get themselves out there and get started.
Now, this is raising money for charities concerned with young people. Are they all young people playing? Are we going to see a bunch of enviable, youthful people on stage?
We do have quite a diverse age range. We are sort of at the younger end of the spectrum. However, there are, as I say, a very diverse age range. So it's anything really from sort of, I think our youngest, Megan and Chloe, they're sort of 15, 16. Yeah. And then our higher end is probably sort of late 30s, early 40s, around that. But it is predominantly sort of younger musicians that have approached us. But as I say, it's still quite diverse.
What sort of genre can we expect?
It's a wild variety of different genres. We've got some that are rock, some country. It's just all over.
Yeah. A little bit for everybody then.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to do this, Charity? How did this idea come to you?
It was at college, they're helping us to put on something so we can help the community. And with music being one of the things that I do like, I thought let's find something for the young people to be able to get out and find something to get them started.
And this is, Helen, this is the sort of structured organisation, or a structured effort to get young people into this habit of helping the community.
Yes, so Charity is part of Voluntary Action North East Lincolnshire's Ignite programme, and the Ignite programme is for sort of young people aged 16 to 30. It's to help get them involved in volunteering and involved in creating their own projects designed to benefit the community. So it could be a project, an event, a campaign. We've done a lot of fundraisers in the past, however it's not limited to fundraisers by any stretch. We've had a balloon release, we've had a football tournament, we've had a Macmillan coffee morning. This is the biggest one we've done so far though, arguably, isn't it, as an event. A lot has gone into it, and Charity's worked really, really hard to sort of get this off the ground and hopefully make it a night to remember.
And how long has this project been going then, this series of events?
Ignite, it sort of launched in August of last year. It's a 3-year big lottery funded project, so it will be around until sort of 2019. It follows on from Voluntary Action's Infuse programme, which was another Reaching Communities big lottery funded programme, which was similar. It was similar but not wholeheartedly the same. The Ignite programme works a lot closer with fewer people but still has a sort of broad reach with regards to how many young people we work with.
Do you see a future for yourself, Charity, as an impresario? Are you going to be organising musical events? Will you be sorting out festivals in the future? Is this how you're going to make your millions?
Possibly not, though if the event does take off and it does end up being a success, we can maybe look at making it an annual thing.
Well, that'd be a good idea, I suppose, and just have a regular thing that everybody's expecting.
Yeah.
Well, let's just quickly go for those contact details again. Where and when, because I don't want to miss it, and where do I buy tickets, and also how much are the tickets, Helen?
So the Battle of the Bands will take place on Friday 31st of March at Moon on the Water. Tickets are going on sale imminently, so you'll be able to get those from Moon on the Water, the Grimsby Institute and Voluntary Action North East Lincolnshire. If you'd like to check out our Facebook page, the Ignite Facebook page for details regarding this, it's facebook.com/Ignite, GY. And our contact number for the Voluntary Action Office is 01472 315 437.
I don't think I can ask for anything more, Helen. Thank you very much. Absolutely splendid information. Charity, well done for having such a brilliant idea. I'm looking forward to the evening. Hope you both enjoy it very much.
Thank you.
Here's Dan with all the sports news.
Scunthorpe United are looking to end their run of 7 games without a win tonight. They're taking on Charlton Athletic at the Valley with the aim of being back in the automatic promotion places by the end of the night. Midfielder Sam Manton remains the only one of Graham Alexander's squad to be sidelined through injury, with Matt Crooks again set to play in the middle of the park. Meanwhile, the club are hosting a beanbag for tonight's game at Glanford Park. Around 250 fans are expected to be in attendance. Kick-off tonight, wherever you're watching, will be at 7:45. Marcus Bignett has again used a host of senior players in the reserves. The Mariners side played Chesterfield this afternoon. The likes of Craig Disley and Dominic Vose featured, along with James Berrett, Akwasi Asante and others. Adi Youssef scored both the goals in the town's 2-1 win at the Proact Stadium. Hull City defender Andrew Robertson says the side must maintain their positive home form if they want any chance of staying up. The Tigers are unbeaten at home under Marco Silva, which includes 4 wins in his 5 games at the KCOM Stadium. City host Swansea City in a huge game in both sides' fight against the drop from the Premier League on Saturday. And finally, Phil Bentham has been named as the referee for Hull FC's game against St Helens on Friday night. He'll take charge of the game at the KCOM Stadium, which will be head coach Lee Radford's 100th game at the helm of the Black and Whites. And that's all for the sport.
That's it for tonight. Thank you very much, Dan. My thanks to Charity and Helen and to Paul with his fantastic new sport, which is not lacrosse. If you have a news story for us, then please visit our Facebook or Twitter pages, email news@estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 01472 31 555 Until tomorrow, good evening.
Are you looking for a new or used car? Whatever the weather, Trenton have you covered. Estuary TV Weather, sponsored by Trenton Motors.
Hello and welcome to Estuary TV Weather. Wednesday, a rainy start followed by sunny spells throughout the morning. Skies remaining clear for the duration of the afternoon. Winds bringing in warm air over from the southwest. Thursday, an exceptional day for early spring, mostly sunny overall with winds easing, becoming overcast towards the evening.
Are you looking for a new or used car? Whatever the weather, Trenton have you covered. Estuary TV Weather, sponsored by Trenton Motors.
Good evening, you're watching SG News. I'm Hugh Riches. In the headlines tonight, a serious accident in Grimsby, pregnant women urged to quit lighting up in Hull, a cash boost for domestic abuse survivors in our region, and a memorial to former railway workers in the culture capital. And later in tonight's programme, I'll be talking to Margaret Dickinson about her Daughters of Courage, a new novel. And before that, I'll be talking to Mark Taylor about today's budget. Students were evacuated from a school in Hull today following a bomb threat. Police attended Highlands Primary School on Lothian Way to offer reassurance and investigation. The incident is believed to be a hoax and is part of a series of similar incidents at schools across the country. Philip Hammond, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, delivered his spring budget today and announced £90 million of transport spending in the north of England, designated to address pinch points on the roads. Where it will be spent is yet to be clarified. He also announced £200 million to be spent on improving broadband networks nationally. Class 4 national insurance payments for the self-employed are to go up from 9% to 11% by 2019. Class 2 payments for the self-employed are to be scrapped. He's put 2 pence on a pint of beer, a pint on a pint of cider, 36 pence on a bottle of whiskey and 32 pence on a bottle of gin. A pack of cigarettes goes up by 35 pence. Today is, appropriately, National No Smoking Day. Pregnant smokers in Hull are being urged to stop smoking as new figures reveal that almost 21% of pregnant women in the city smoke while pregnant. Wendy Samuels explains some of the complications of smoking when pregnant.
It can cause complications for mum at point of delivery, and obviously it affects mum's health, but it does impact on the baby. It can cause miscarriage, stillbirth. Obviously babies are more susceptible to respiratory disease and other diseases because their organs are obviously immature, so they're more susceptible to the diseases that smoking causes. I think the main thing that we need to remember is that nicotine is very addictive. So obviously the pregnant women are addicted to nicotine, and that's the driver. That's what obviously makes them continue to smoke. They know that smoking's bad for the health. I think they just don't know how to quit. And I think that's what we've got to focus on, getting that message out there, how to quit, and what's available to them. I think, you know, a lot of the pregnant women now, they smoke outside, you know, they don't smoke in the house, they don't smoke in the car, they don't smoke when they're around their other children. But I think the difficulty is actually stopping smoking when the baby isn't visible.
Domestic abuse services are to have more money. £400,000 has been awarded to 4 councils across our region to ensure survivors of domestic abuse with complex problems such as mental health and substance addiction are fully supported. North and North East Lincolnshire, Hull City and East Yorkshire will provide expanded support services over the next 2 years.
We linked with all the other local authorities because part of the bid was that we looked at cross-boundary working and also supporting other local authorities. So we quite clearly got our heads together and sat around a table and been able to put together a bid that helps support victims in all areas. Also for victims to be able to move cross-boundary and ensure that they're getting the support that they need within all the areas of Humberside, and sort of like that each local area authority has benefited from this funding. So we're looking that this will help support victims with additional needs and also be able to provide that emergency link with accommodation and be able to provide them with the support really that their complex needs require, and it is something that's really exciting for the area as well.
It's fabulous news that we've received the funding. Many victims of abuse do have complex needs and aren't suitable to live communally, so maybe aren't appropriate to move into a refuge, need more specialist support and more intensive support. So this fund will enable us to employ specific workers to work with those with complex needs such as mental health needs, problematic substance misuse, to provide them with much more specialist support, ideally to enable them to either remain in their own homes or to move into properties that are suitable for their needs. The most beneficial thing about having this fund is going to be that we're able to dedicate the amount of time that it takes to support somebody with more complex needs, the cases that require more intensive interventions that we're perhaps not able to give that level of support at the moment. Specific workers will be able to give that sort of support, and a lot of the work that we do is around enabling victims to access other services, almost to navigate through those services. So these workers will be able to do that to support them to appointments and to advocate on their behalf to make sure that they're getting the correct support at the time that they need it.
Now, today saw the Chancellor of the Exchequer's budget, Philip Hammond's budget. I mentioned a few details at the top, but Mark Taylor is a tax partner with Duncan and Topless Chartered Accountants based in Lincoln, and he joins me now to give us a bit more detail of what that means for people in our region. Mark, welcome. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. My pleasure.
We've got a lot to get through. Let's start off with the business rates. What's he done to that?
Yes, so there is a revaluation going on business rates, and quite a lot of small businesses are quite rightly up in arms about the increases in their business rates. The Chancellor's today recognised this and allocated £435 million to help those businesses affected. What they're going to do is, where businesses are losing an existing relief, they will be capped. The increases will be capped at £50 a month or £600 a year. And in addition, some welcome news for the public house trades. So any pubs with a rateable value of up to £100,000 will get a £1,000 discount on their business rates going forwards. So I think that's much needed help for some of these small businesses suffering from this rates increase.
For the pubs especially,
Absolutely.
which have been having such an awful time and closing in the last 10 years.
Most definitely.
But the business rate will still be calculated on the value of the premises rather than the value of the business. So a business can be making a loss and really suffering, and it'll still be suffering an increase in its premises-based business rates.
And what the Chancellor did recognise, which is something we expected him to say, was that business rates is almost an outdated way of taxing business. With the new digital economy and the internet selling, some of these large internet sellers don't need the premises that your high street shop would have been in years gone by. So his overall strategy long term is to look at this and try and make this tax system fit for the digital age. This is really a starting point of relieving the current changes for people whilst he works on more of a master plan for the future.
So he hasn't come up with an idea yet, but he wants one.
Correct.
Okay, let's move on to national insurance for self-employed people. There's going to be a change in different classes of national insurance, 4 and 2 particularly. But just explain those classes before we go on.
So all very confusing. If you're employed, you pay Class 1 NIC. If you're self-employed, you used to pay Class 2, which was like your weekly stamp of £2 something a week. And then you would pay Class 4, which was 9% of your profits. So as soon as you earned over £8,000 as a self-employed individual, then you would pay 9% Class 4 NIC on those earnings above 8,000 until you were a higher rate taxpayer, and then you pay 2% NIC on the higher rate part. What they've announced is a 1% increase in that Class 4 NIC. So it's going to go to 10% from next year, 11% from the year after. With some of the changes that are coming in on personal allowances, the government are trying to get the personal allowance up to 12,500 by 2020. That's the amount that you can earn without paying any tax at all. That will cushion the blow for some self-employed people, but actually they are going to be worse off as a result of this measure that's been announced today.
And it could mean for very, very small businesses only just scraping by that people are paying more national insurance than they are income tax.
Yes, but what the Chancellor has said today is that any self-employed person earning less than £16,250 will not be worse off as a result of these changes with the income tax changes that are coming in at the same time.
Social care, changes to social care, Mark.
Yes, I mean, there's been a lot in the press and a lot of people quite rightly making noises lately about social care being in crisis, and the government have acted to put an extra £2 billion into social care. I believe that's £1 billion initially this year and £1 billion next year. This money will go into local authorities. It will be based on a formula which I don't believe has yet been announced.
Might that relieve council tax burdens then?
Yes, because the local authorities have been considering their council tax, bearing in mind the cost of running these social care, particularly for elderly people. And what they're trying to do is have a more joined-up approach between the hospitals and nursing homes, for example. And the government is going to work with local authorities to make that, try and make that more of an easier transition for people, so that they're not, you know, tying up hospital beds when they could be cared for in the community.
A little earlier I mentioned the Northern Powerhouse, £9 million for that. Are we going to see that in Yorkshire and Lincolnshire?
Nothing was announced on that in terms of our area. I have been reading about it because we, obviously at Duncan and Topless, we go through all of the budget announcements in great detail, and it seems it may miss us, so it might be over in Blackpool, sort of the northwest, rather than us in the East Midlands.
That seems extremely unfair.
Yes.
Now we're paying income, sort of average wage, paying sort of 15-20% income tax, something like that. National insurance, VAT, inheritance tax. Do we get to keep any of the value that we create whilst we live?
Yes. Well, yes. I mean.
And that's a very, very quick answer.
Yes, we have certain reliefs for taxes, and inheritance tax there are reliefs for, but with the correct tax planning, yes, you can keep what you earn.
All right, thanks. Correct tax planning advice from an accountant has surprised me. Mark, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Join me after the break. Dan will bring us a roundup of all the latest sports action, and I'll be talking to Margaret Dickinson about her new book, Daughters of Courage. Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, Dan brings us a roundup of all the latest sports news, and Margaret Dickinson is here to tell me more about her latest novel, Daughters of Courage. Police are investigating a serious road crash in Grimsby. The incident happened just before 4 o'clock this morning on Chelmsford Avenue. 2 people tried to resist arrest before being arrested on suspicion of car theft and driving offences. A 31-year-old male passenger was taken to Grimsby Hospital before being transferred to Hull Royal Infirmary with serious but not life-threatening injuries. And the 29-year-old driver of the vehicle, a black Vauxhall Insignia, has received treatment and is in police custody. The collision followed a short police pursuit after the car failed to stop. Illicit tobacco dealer Ralphs Godainis has pleaded guilty at Grimsby Magistrates Court to 6 tobacco-related charges. He was fined £2,537. 2 out of the 6 offences fall under the new Tobacco and Related Products Regulations of 2016. This is the region's first conviction for this type of offence. The 39-year-old brought cheap tobacco and cigarettes from Latvian markets and then sold them in Grimsby to friends and family. Youngsters across north-east Lincolnshire have welcomed an ursine visitor to their schools. Scrubs the bear has been out and about drumming up support for the Dong Grimsby 10K and Fun Run. Scrubs is the charity mascot for Grimsby Hospital's Health Tree Foundation, which is the chosen charity for this year's run and will receive £1 from every race entry. Scrubs has visited more than 15 schools across the borough, drumming up support for the event in July. Planning permission has been granted for a memorial in Hull to former railway workers. 10 statues of rail workers will be created by pupils from Stepney Primary School on Beverley Road. They'll be placed on the platforms of the disused Stepney railway station near the school. The station hasn't been used for over 50 years, but the pupils are bringing the area back to life following a successful Hull 2017 grant. Paul Browning is the head teacher.
As part of Hull City of Culture 2017, we'd like to do an art installation to sort of bring this area back to life, to make people aware that it's here and perhaps think a bit more about the heritage of the building. Well, last week we had the planning committee met and the councillors unanimously agreed to the plan and thought it was a wonderful idea because it's a neglected and forgotten area of the city. So the next step now is the plans have gone to the manufacturing company, a company called Campbell's of Hull, who actually have been responsible for the recent Trawlerman's Memorial on St Andrew's Quay. So they're now going to spend about a month manufacturing the statues. Hopefully the children can perhaps go down, some of them, and see the manufacturing process as part of this, because that's part of their education, seeing their designs then going through to be made into actual sculptures.
Now, Daughters of Courage is the latest publication from Margaret Dickinson, and the author's with me to tell me about this new novel. Margaret, welcome. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Beautifully produced book, and a thick, bit of significant piece of work, isn't it? Tell me about it. This is a sequel, I think.
This is a sequel to The Buffer Girls, and that story started with the Buffer Girls in Sheffield who polished the cutlery in the famous cutlery industry in Sheffield.
Of course.
And it follows the same families through about 2 years, 1920 to 1922 was the Buffer Girls. When Emily and her family moved to Sheffield, she finds work as a buffer girl. But by we start this one, she's gone up in the world a little bit and she's formed her own buffing workshop. And so she employs other people. Hence, she's got a smarter suit on the cover of this one.
I'm going to attempt to say something about very highly polished writing, but I wish I hadn't now. But it is beautifully highly polished writing. It's a wonderful story. What was the prequel to this, as it were? Because it's a standalone book. You don't have to read the first one.
You don't have to read the first one. The publishers, whenever you write a duo or a trilogy or a series, they always insist that each book is a standalone book, that readers can read it without having read the first one.
Okay.
Of course, as the author, I like them to have read the first one, but
Well, I mean, you talk about the first one, but this is your 24th novel.
It is. Yes, it is.
So you've been writing these books for some time now, and you write at a very industrious rate.
One a year, because I do a lot of background research, because I set my stories against real events, both national and local. And of course, then you've got to get your facts right.
But the localism is the most important thing here. You're a Lincolnshire lass. This one's set in Sheffield, but a lot of your works have been set in territory much more familiar to us here in East Yorkshire and Lincolnshire.
Yes. The book before The Buffer Girls was Welcome Home, and that was based in Grimsby. And I did a lot of research about Grimsby. And one favourite tale, and I'm sure you've told this story many times, is that Grimsby is the only football team that always plays away because they haven't got their own
it's my only sports question in the pub quiz, Margaret.
Oh, right.
I'm afraid that one. But you also, I mean, it's very good to have this local element because this part of the world has got so many exciting contexts and so many exciting stories. But it's also the historical element that you tend to write in the earlier part of the 20th century. And that takes a certain amount of scholarship.
Well, it takes a lot of research, and I'm pretty well organised now about where to find things, particularly when you're writing from 1900 to about 1960. You're always running into one war or another, I'm afraid. But it's a superb background for such a lot of conflict and personal problems, you know, caused by war. So it's the background. The only book that I've written that was before that time was the 1850s, when I wrote about the pauper apprentices in the cotton mills in Derbyshire. And to be historically correct, that had to be set then because they petered out. That system petered out afterwards.
That's out of our region. We don't care about
It is,
Derbyshire.
yes.
Do people? I'm a great fan of historical fiction. I think it's the most fascinating genre, the most imaginative genre. But I would imagine people get very pedantic and picky if you've got something wrong. If you've got, no, you can't use that particular type of cloth on polishing silver or something like that. Do you get feedback saying...
You do. Oh, yes, you do get... but I do my research as much as is humanly possible, but I'm sure I make mistakes, and I'm always willing to learn. So it's nice when people do tell me.
Now, tell me, you were describing before the sort of genre that I never know how to describe it. Historical fiction, certainly, but what is there a more precise sort of genre you describe it as?
Yes, they're sagas. They're regional sagas, which means they're set in a particular place. But they're family sagas. They usually have one main character, usually a woman, because they are aimed at women readership.
But not necessarily just women readership. I mean, this isn't chick lit. This is
no. I do have men readers, which is wonderful. Always gives me a thrill when a chap comes up and I say, "Who do you want it to?" And he says, "Oh, to Jack," you know, and that's him. That's brilliant. But they're family sagas. They follow characters through usually several years, and you see how they develop and what sort of people they become.
Now, it's published by Macmillan. Old friends of mine. Where can people get their hands on this?
In local bookshops. Yeah. I'm signing in Grimsby tomorrow.
At Waterstones in Freshney Place. Cleethorpes tomorrow afternoon.
And Cleethorpes tomorrow afternoon, yes. So in Boys.
Is it available at Amazon?
Yes.
Places like that?
Yes.
And also, just to point out that the paperback is also available.
Yes. That's what I go out and promote now.
That came out just recently.
Yes.
Margaret, thank you so much for coming on and talking about that. I'm looking forward to reading it.
Thank you.
Here's Dan with all the sports news.
Hull FC's reigning Man of Steel is set for his 250th appearance for the club on Friday night. Danny Houghton has unsurprisingly been named in Lee Radford's squad to face St Helens at the KCOM Stadium, as has captain Gareth Ellis, who missed last week's win at Huddersfield. Jantin Turgut has been dropped from the 19-man squad though, but young prop Masi Matunga has retained his place. Liam Watts again misses out on selection through suspension. Scunthorpe United have now got 8 games without a win as their automatic promotion hopes have taken another dent. The Iron conceded a last-minute penalty last night as they lost 2-1 at Charlton Athletic. Kevin Von Veen had put United on parity with their hosts with just 15 minutes to go, but Tony Watt converted a 90th minute spot kick to seal the points for Charlton. With 10 games to go of the normal League One season, the Iron are now 3 points behind second place Fleetwood, having played 1 game more than their promotion rivals. Grimsby Town loanee Rhys Brown scored twice for Macclesfield Town last night in the FA Trophy. He scored 2 superb goals from outside the area in their 2-0 win over Dulwich Hamlet. Meanwhile, the club are preparing for their fans forum tomorrow night. That'll be at 7 o'clock tomorrow in McMenemy's Bar at Blundell Park. And finally, Rugby Union and Hullensians remain in 10th place in Yorkshire 1 following their 48 points to 10 defeat to Old Bodleians. Tom Biglin scored the first of Hollensians 2 tries before Josh Langford went across the whitewash for his 17th of the season.
Thanks very much, Dan. That really is everything we have time for tonight. Thank you for watching. Good evening.
Are you looking for a new or used car? Whatever the weather, Trenton have you covered. Estuary TV Weather, sponsored by Trenton Motors. Are you looking for a new or used car? Whatever the weather, Trenton have you covered. Estuary TV Weather, sponsored by Trenton Motors.
Good evening, you're watching SG News. I'm Hugh Riches. In the headlines tonight, the future for Hull's creative people after a building is saved, boxing champions meet for the first time on the Humber, and inspiration for media students in Grimsby. And later in tonight's programme, I'll be joined by Luke with the latest news from the culture capital. Chemicals giant BP has sold off part of its site at Saltend Chemicals Park in Hull. Teesside-based firm PX Group will become the new owners of the 30-acre site. BP will continue to own and control parts of the chemical plant. The move means 50 BP workers will transfer to PX employment, and it's expected to be completed over the next few months. 2 generations of boxing champions met in Hull for the first time today. It was all in aid of a plaque dedicated to Barbara Buttrick at Tommy Coyle's Academy in East Hull, where the pair met ahead of their joint appearance at tomorrow's Women of the World Festival in Hull. Buttrick was the world's unbeaten flyweight and bantamweight champion from 1950 to 1960. Coyle is a former WBC silver international lightweight champion. They didn't fight. Barbara was there to inspire the next generation of female boxers.
I'm very happy to be here and see all the interest in the boxing that there is today, and all the little girls that are training and very enthusiastic about their boxing. So it means a lot to be back and see that how the boxing's developed for the girls. When I started out, everybody was against it and it was something that shouldn't happen. And to see the different attitude now, it's surprising.
3 months ago, I'm not going to lie, this sounds terrible, but I didn't know who Barbara Buttrick was. And that is, no disrespect to this incredible woman. This is simply because Barbara was in an era whereby there was no social media. It was maybe frowned upon, can we say, for women to box. It was only in 2012 that women were allowed to box in the Olympics and take part in the Olympics. So I think it's fantastic to have Barbara here, and you know, give her the media and attention that she deserves. And I know as a result of this that it will really inspire the young females that not just want to box, but want to do something that's a bit different, you know, a bit out the box.
Hull Royal Infirmary wants to recruit more staff to support elderly patients. Hull and East Yorkshire Hospitals Trust was the first in the country to appoint recreational coordinators, and now it says it's looking to roll out the initiative across all wards. This comes after Laura Marks, one of the Trust's first employees in the position, was nominated for an award in recognition of her progress. She's up for the Intermediate Non-Clinical Apprentice of the Year award. She's now also helping 2 new apprentices. We met Laura back in September when the initiative was launched, and she says the last 6 months have seen the job develop. This is what being nominated means to her.
Overwhelming. I'm like, oh God, why me? But then I think sometimes, well, for me, I've just worked so hard that you kind of don't realise how far you've come, and I've been like, oh, okay. And so I'm a bit nervous, but it's such a nice feeling at the same time. It's really rewarding for me, because I know that I've put the work in.
Recreational coordinators or an activity coordinator is gold standard in all nursing homes nationally. We are the first acute trust to bring this post into the hospital, and with the success that Laura's shown that it can deliver on the wards, we will be ensuring that this post remains here, and we are looking to increase it so each of our wards have one person themselves to work alongside with the patients.
So what we do for the patients on the medical elder ward is obviously offer them a helping hand, reminiscence, therapies and activity sessions. In the memory cafe we do like communal dining, so we can get all the patients together. A lot of patients do feel lonely, or they might not have visitors, so we go over and see them, maybe give them a nice manicure or do a crossword word search with them. We have a lot of different units with old songs on, our new reminiscence units that we can bring in and play that. It's nice because a lot of them, sort of gathers their memories back again. We do pretty much everything we can to help. Mini exercise sessions, I like doing that. But it's nice just to sit and have a chat, see what we can find out about them.
The final piece in Luke Jerram's Treasured City exhibition has been found. The gold ammonite was found in Scunthorpe last night by the Allen family of Grimsby, the same family who found the Janus train in the town's Central Park in February. They located the golden item on High Street East, close to the San Pietro restaurant. There is still a £500 charity donation up for grabs for the first person to crack the hardest code in the exhibition, the red painting. The Deep in Hull has been shortlisted for a prestigious award. It's vying for the title of Inclusive Tourism Award as part of Visit England's Awards for Excellence 2017. The awards are intended to recognise excellence in customer service. They'll be competing against the Eden Project and London's Victoria and Albert Museum. The winners will be announced at an awards ceremony on the 24th of April in London. An enterprise helping people back into employment has had the use of their buildings saved for 5 years by charitable donations. Estuary News reported last month that Bespoke Boutiques, located on Little Queen Street, was in danger of closing due to the public works in the city. Now, thanks to the security of the premises, the business aims to become a platform for the city's creative people, and Gareth Byrne, the founder, is delighted to be staying put.
It's been an amazing adventure. The last week has been one of the hardest things we've went through ever. As you know, last week you came and you seen the doom and gloom if we're going to lose our building. And then as you can see from today, the sun is shining and we're in a better place. We have a 5-year contract. We've secured our building for the next 5 years. The legacy of what we're trying to do is going to be secured for 5 years. We've done an amazing deal with the landlord. And I just wanted to say on camera and to you and Estuary TV and everybody out there that supported us over the last couple of weeks, friends, family who donated on the Just Giving page, it's absolutely saved our lives. You know, we still had to work. We worked really hard to secure the money. We secured it ourselves through family and friends. And we're just, we're absolutely over the moon. We're buzzing. We have our building back. The sun is shining on the street. There's fashion, music, art, design. We have a new trainee that's in today. Our projects have kicked off. Our studio's being rented out. We've rented out 2 of the desks in our office. So in a matter of 7 days, we've gone from literally gonna sign back on the social. I rang the social last week to see what was the situation with me signing on after running a company, to this week where we're looking at 5 years into the future.
Police are trying to find the driver of a taxi after a woman fell from it in Hull. It happened shortly after 1 o'clock on Sunday morning on Newland Avenue. The vehicle is thought to be a black cab. The woman crossed the road and got into the back of the taxi, but fell out as the car moved off and suffered minor head injuries. The taxi driver failed to stop following the incident. The MP for Beverley and Holderness, Graham Stewart, has said a recent diabetes summit will allow greater scrutiny of the quality of care for patients in his constituency. Mr Stewart held the summit alongside Diabetes UK after it was revealed that the East Riding has the second highest diabetes-related amputation rate in the North and Yorkshire. The summit identified a number of areas where care could be improved. These include better training for clinical staff involved in primary care and better information for patients on treatment. Attendees to the summit included leading consultants, doctors and patients from across the area. A follow-up meeting will be held on the 15th of March. BT has announced it is creating around 70 new positions in Yorkshire and the Humber. BT says the apprenticeship and graduate jobs are aimed at equipping young people with the skills to meet a changing jobs market. The apprentices will be recruited at various locations, including Hull and Scarborough. Roles range from customer service to supply chain operations. BT's latest recruitment drive will see the creation of 1,700 apprenticeships and graduate places across the UK. The nicest job in Britain is the name of an initiative visiting our area this week. The not-for-profit initiative sees Alice Bigger travel across Britain, visiting, blogging and celebrating local charities. This week she's visiting Friendship at Home, a charity in Cleethorpes, which helps the social mobility of elderly people in the area. Fred McNamara spoke to her to find out more.
Learned quite quickly that there's more to North Lincolnshire than just fish and football. It's the home of Friendship at Home, which is an elderly people's befriending charity, and they support people within the North Lincolnshire community. And I've been learning, actually, it's very well documented, that isolation and loneliness is a growing problem in Britain amongst older people. So I wanted to see what we could do to try and combat that. And I've been getting involved in some befriending services. I've gone out and I've visited some really lovely ladies. And gosh, they've got some great stories to tell, and you just think it's such a shame that if they didn't have visitors, that knowledge and those stories would be lost. And you can really see sort of on the ground how much of a difference just an hour a week from somebody, a visit from them, and just a normal conversation, a cup of tea and a chat, it can really, really make a big difference to them.
We look after our volunteers, obviously. We offer them extra training if they need to. Usually that can involve like first aid, going on a first aid course. Also, as Linda has said, the dementia training, you know, so that helps them understand more what the member would expect from them. And it's just so nice to see that one of our volunteers started off just helping out at the social club. Now she actually runs one of our clubs for us. So it's really nice, you know, to see people enjoy being a volunteer.
I think the best thing about working at Friendship at Home is when we get a perfect result. When we get a lady that spent a long time, or a gentleman a long time at home with no company, we get a befriender to go in and then they come to our social groups. It makes them more independent. It makes them a more like a well-being around them, because they're suddenly more mobile. There's less chance of them, you know, getting ill and things like that. So it's when it all works together, we all work together as a team, because like some of us will get volunteers, some of us will find befrienders, some of us do social groups.
Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, Dan will bring us a roundup of all the latest sports news, and Luke will be with me talking about the City of Culture. The government has today announced a funding package worth nearly £29 million to boost business growth in Greater Lincolnshire. The growth deal will help to establish a food enterprise zone in Grimsby for infrastructure and workforce skills. This money is in addition to the £126 million already awarded since 2014. The programme is intended to secure more than 7,000 jobs and more than 7,000 new homes in Greater Lincolnshire. West Lindsey District Council has announced it'll spend £53 million over the next 5 years on its own capital investment programme. The plans include measures to bring empty homes across the district back into use and a £3 million package to be spent on helping disabled people to stay in their homes. Up to £15 million will also be invested in commercial property. A local girl has returned to our region after national and international success. Lindsay Rowan, a freelance producer, has won a BAFTA and an Emmy for her work on a BBC transgender series. She was speaking to students at the Grimsby Institute about her success.
One of the ideas I had, I was working on a different programme for an indie and 9 Lives Media, and I said to my boss, oh, I've seen this child and he's going to take hormone blockers, and I didn't know much about transgender children, and I said, it's interesting. And she was like, you know, go and find out some more about it. I did. Cut to 6 months later, we'd got the commission away with CBBC, making the first programme about a transgender child from their point of view for their My Life documentary strand. And then following on from that, we all know there's been a big bubble, so timing was great. Big bubble about transgender issues. And we got nominated for the BAFTA, the International Emmy and the Royal Television Society Award, and we won all 3, which was just amazing. So from a little idea, which is what I explained to the guys, a little email, a little idea, a little spark of something, I'm interested in this, and that's a good starting point. I'm interested in this, I want to find out more, maybe other people do too. Everything's story driven, and it became a huge success.
A few familiar faces in the background there. That's the closest I'll ever get to a BAFTA, I'm afraid. Work has begun to improve the beach huts on Mablethorpe's Central Promenade. Just under £200,000 is being spent on a refurbishment programme on numbers 1 to 18 on Central Promenade and on 9 new huts at Queen's Park. The Coastal Revival Fund contributed £50,000 to the cost, with the rest coming from East Lindsey District Council. It's hoped the work will be completed by Easter. A public consultation into bereavement services is being conducted by North East Lincolnshire Council. The council is seeking the public's views on services at its crematorium and burial grounds to assist with a tendering process later this year. Details are available from the council's website. And I'm joined now by our own Luke Adams with the latest news from the Capital of Culture, Hull 2017.
Great to see you as always, Hugh. Happy Thursday once again.
Happy Thursday. Luke, what's happening in the Capital of Culture?
What's happening this weekend is the WOW Hull events. Women of the World Hull.
I see.
So it's a series of events, workshops, talks, what are taking place over the course of Saturday and Sunday, celebrating women and girls and what stops them from reaching their creative prowess.
And what does stop them reaching their creative
Not
prowess?
sure. Hopefully the festival will tell us and enthrall us.
OK.
Our good friend Audrey Dunn is going to be giving delivering a series of poems as part of this festival on Saturday at the Kingston Art Gallery, 2 o'clock until 4 p.m. And her poems are set in the Yorkshire Wolds.
OK, absolutely splendid.
Accompanied by a flutist by the name of Claire Holditch.
And this WOW, Women of...
Yeah, Women of the World.
Women of the World,
Yeah.
that's continuing. There are various elements of that.
Yes, that's right. And it was actually founded, the event, back in 2010 down in London at the South Bank Centre. So Hull's obviously doing their own version of it as part of the City Culture celebrations.
It has moved to a better place.
Yeah. And it's kicking off tomorrow, actually, Hugh, at the Hull City Hall with a night of celebration featuring composer Erilyn Wallen and spoken word artist Kate Fox, and comedians Lucy Bowman and Maureen Lippman, who obviously hail from Hull. They're joining forces, and they're going to be doing a live version of the Radio 4 drama To Hull and Back.
I remember hearing it when it was broadcast, and very brilliant it was as well.
Two very good Hullendians, Lucy and Maureen.
You won't remember this, but Maureen Lippman's possibly most famous for advertising a telephone company.
Well, I am of a certain age now here. I do remember those adverts relatively well.
She replaced Busby. I do miss Busby.
Yes. It was a good series of ads, wasn't it?
It was
Very
a good series.
of
But
ads.
anyway, you've got knowledge and all that. But anyway, so that's at Hull City Hall on Friday at 7:30 p.m.
That's right. And a new name I've discovered this week, Hugh, is Ethel Legzinska.
Well pronounced.
Thank you very much indeed. Quite an exotic name, don't you think?
I would say Polish, yes.
Well, apparently the name of this gig is Ethel Legzinska, the Musical Pioneer, Ferren Studio on Saturday and Sunday, 12 o'clock, again as part of the WOW Festival. And she was a Hull-born pianist and conductor. And in the early part of the 20th century, Her piano rolls enabled audiences to experience her music from their living rooms.
Oh, I see. So she recorded on those old-fashioned
That's
paper
right.
or cardboard rolls that you stuck in a
and
pianola.
then you can obviously listen to them in the comfort of your own home.
Wonderful.
So the concert will feature a collection of her work with original compositions, and coincidentally, Hugh, she's going to be unveiled tomorrow with a centenary plaque by Lord Prescott and Mary Glue, Councillor Mary Glue, as part of Hull City Council's centenary plaques scheme. So she's going to be the 30th name to be unveiled.
Excellent.
So that's a nice tie-in.
And she can be heard at the Fair and Studios Saturday and Sunday
That's
at 12
right, 12 o'clock, yeah.
Lovely.
Moving on from WOW then, Hugh, the Hessel Craft Beer and Cider Festival will be taking place, no less, in Hessel on Friday and Saturday, 6 o'clock. The first time this event's happening, there's going to be a range of local ale and cider available and a lineup of music showcasing local bands, upcoming local bands.
Many of my favourite things involved in that event.
Absolutely, so a great platform to showcase emerging talent.
Wonderful, and nice at the festival that the City of Culture is getting out as far as Hessel.
Yeah, that's right, because obviously Hessel's just down the road from Hull City Centre. We touched briefly on this last week, Hugh, the LGBT 50 celebrations in Hull, which are taking place later in the year in July.
Yep.
This year marks 50 years since the decriminalisation of homosexuality in the UK, and Hull is going to be at the forefront of the celebration in the city. So there's a whole caboodle of things happening. One of the big names coming to Hull as part of this is Mark Almond.
I remember him from
Tainted
the 80s.
Love, Hugh.
Indeed,
Tainted
yes.
Love. Yeah.
School discos.
So he's going to be the headline act for the annual Pride event, which is on the 22nd of July.
Right,
Yeah.
well, that's when it starts. I think there are various other events going on as well.
That's right, yeah. And coincidentally, Hull is the first city to be named the first ever UK Pride, so that's obviously another big thing.
Okay, but there have been these Pride parades all over the place
Yes,
for
that's right.
years
Brighton's
now.
in August, I think Manchester's is in September.
Okay.
Yeah, so lots happening.
So that'll be going through Queen's Gardens.
Yes, that's right.
And various other routes as well.
Throughout the city. And there's a special week of events happening, exhibitions, concerts, that kind of thing. And the Humber Street Gallery, 27th of July to the 24th of September, they'll be hosting the House of Kings and Queens, a specially commissioned exhibition of photos by somebody by the name of Lee Price.
Splendid. Okay. I like the pun in the name there, Luke.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. That's all the culture. Here's all the sport with Dan.
Grimsby Town have no fresh injury concerns ahead of their game this weekend. The Mariners are at Leyton Orient on Saturday, who currently sit 5 points short of safety. Here's manager Marcus Bignett's assessment of their opposition.
The club is having its problems and there's a lot of unrest, but out of that sometimes it brings you even closer together. So we'll be going in like any other game, preparing right, but probably this game, because there were so many changes from the last game played and the result they had, probably our due diligence won't be as in-depth as it has been on other opposition.
Hull City's on-loan winger Lazar Markovic has been called up to his national team for their upcoming 2018 World Cup qualifier. He's in the Serbia squad for their game against Georgia in the upcoming international break. More players are expected to receive international call-ups in the coming days, and you'll be able to hear from Marco Silva in tomorrow's show. Rugby now, Hull FC captain Gareth Ellis won't be involved in their game against St Helens tomorrow. The prop forward was expected to return after missing last week's win at Huddersfield, but has failed a head test which would have proved his fitness for the game. Youngster Massi Matonga is expected to feature again for the Black and Whites in the game at the KCOM, while Liam Watts remains sidelined through suspension. The game kicks off at 8 o'clock on Friday evening. And boxer Derry Matthews, who beat Hull fighter Tommy Coyle, has announced his retirement from the sport today. The Liverpudlian was beaten inside 3 rounds by O'Hara Davis at the weekend and has bowed out of the sport. He beat Hull fighter Coyle back in 2013 for the Commonwealth lightweight title. And that's all for the sport.
Thanks very much, Dan, and thanks to Luke for a roundup of all the culture news that's going on in Hull in the coming weeks. That's all for tonight. If you've a news story, then please visit our Facebook or Twitter pages. There are the details, both sides. Email estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 0147231 553. Sorry about any problems with sound this evening. Until tomorrow, from all of us here on the team, good evening.
looking for a new or used car? Whatever the weather, Trenton have you covered. Estuary TV Weather, sponsored by Trenton Motors.
Welcome to Estuary TV's weather. On Friday, we're in for a dry start with cloud and the occasional rain shower to be expected, but brighter spells are also likely. And then this weekend, we're in to expect rain on Saturday with the odd heavy shower on Sunday, but all other times remaining quite dry and bright.
Are you looking for a new or used car? Whatever the weather, Trenton have you covered. Estuary TV Weather, sponsored by Trenton Motors.